Hello and welcome to a very special episode of The Real Deal with Josh and Charles. 'Tis I, Josh, joined as ever by my friend, my confidant, my co-host, and one of the loves of my life, I would go as far to say. It's Charles Hobby.
That's me. Yeah, this is a very special episode because Josh has decided to join us this time.
Yes, I have decided to put aside my far more important activities and actually, participate in this podcast, which bears my name.
It does. I know. I was actually working on new logo designs that tried to keep... It was very hard trying to keep the title the same but not have your name in it. But
So you were trying to do a contingency plan for when I get forced out of the podcast.
yeah. Actually, I asked Mark to change his name to Josh. He wasn't really going for it. So I was just
And I want to say this really quick. Everyone out there talking about how fucking great Mark was, I don't care. I don't need to hear that. I don't care about it. It means nothing to me. Mark is Mark, and I'm me, and I'm Josh and Charles. It's not Mark and Charles. So fucking have fun with Mark. I hope Mark was so much fun, and he's not on this episode, so sorry. Just me, the fucking co-founder of the fucking thing, but whatever. I'm happy Mark went over well.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. It's great. I missed you. I
guess I missed you too.
Mostly because Mark's name is Mark, and I couldn't really throw him in there. But I did miss you. It's good to hear your voice.
And your voice, as ever, fills my heart with song.
Yeah. I was on Craigslist too, looking for people named Josh. I said, "Hello, is anyone named Josh?" That was what I called my post. Or what do you call Craigslist posts? Are they called posts?
You know, I think the message is conveyed with the word post, but we can hash it out if you want.
Craig's? Do you think he should come up with a new unit of measurement? That's not measurement, really. What is...
I suppose it is. I guess I could commit more of my summer towards thinking of a new measurement.
Well, I just feel like as active millennials, especially with podcasting, we should really be, I don't know, cutting edge of technology lingo. A Craig. That's what I'll call it. Craig.
Yeah.
So I made
I worry that we're definitely innovators. Like, I know we're innovators because we're doing a podcast where two men review a movie,
Yeah.
which I think that's innovative. But are we disrupting? You know what I mean? Are we getting into that work, that realm of creativity and redefining the rules? Like, is that something that we're doing enough of? And I don't know if we are.
No, I don't think so. No, we could do better.
Yeah. So maybe this new measurement that we're going to work on together could kind of be our ticket to that upper echelon of disruptors.
Old people are terrified of being disrupted, by the way.
Old people, so because we're millennials and we're hashtag podcasting right now, let's get this out of the way. I have greatly enjoyed Pokemon Go, and I'm very much also enjoying the myriad array of people who seem to be in total panic about Pokemon Go for a variety of reasons, from the delightful and charming radical lefties of my Facebook feed who are certain that it is, the next step in big government monitoring and societal brainwashing, and people like my mother who believe that Pokemon Go will somehow, contribute to my demise at the hands of a car, a wild animal, a pack of hoodlums, things of that nature.
I love how your life is split into two categories. Your lefties and your mother. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who else is there, really?
Yeah. Lefties and your mother. I tried Pokemon Go, and I really just preferred living my life without it. But I loved that I was walking my dogs, and this guy was just wandering around with his phone out, and I was like, oh, he's playing Pokemon Go. Cool. And then he comes up to me and he just starts talking to me about Pokemon Go. And I had a great time. He was a really nice guy. He was a little awkward, but he was like, yeah, I gotta go walk around so my egg will hatch. I was like, all right, sweet. I hope you enjoyed your walk looking at your phone. But it's...
Well, I will say, in a nation that we've basically given up on the idea of citizenship or like shared values as a nation, like due to, capitalism and racism and the nature of how America conducts itself in 2016, we have so little of a common ground to cling on to. And I've had the paranoid delusion that, like this is just a thought device the government gives us to make us not think about the racial inequality and police violence and encroaching war with Russia and, and the list goes on. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I truly believe that the people who make Pokemon Go made a really good game. And now everyone in New York City, where I live, is like nice to each other. And I can walk around at night and see other people doing this thing, and we're all doing it. And it's so nice to have one thing we're all doing in a country where there's almost no meeting point on any issue. This is a dumb product, and we're all having a fun time with the dumb product. And for a minute, let's just savor this. And I'm not saying let's put aside these greater political issues, and I'm not saying let's numb ourselves to the world around us, because that's really bad. But we live in frightening times. The day of our recording, Donald Trump just chose Mike Pence to be his running mate. And between the RNC's platform they're putting together for their convention next week in Cleveland and this socially conservative nightmare person that an already nightmare person has chosen to run with, there's and Black Lives Matter and the ding-dongs who keep yelling stuff like Blue Lives Matter or All Lives Matter. Like, this is a really contentious, intense time for the world. Other things, there was a terrorist attack in France, like the third in a year. There was an attempted coup going on in Turkey, like right now. Things are bad, Charles. It's a frightening time to be alive. And fuck it. Have an ounce of communal enjoyment of one thing. And because we can't create it publicly anymore, fine. A corporation gave us that middle thing right now.
Wait,
so whatever.
Are you talking about Pokemon Go or The Purge?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did we find a backdoor to talk about this week's mega episode where we review not one, not two, but yes, all 3 Purge movies?
All 3, and I really couldn't tell because The Purge pretty much fit the description you were giving of Pokemon Go. We can all get involved.
I do. That was somewhat inadvertent, other than the fact that The Purge is a universe where that communal shared expression of something is made extraordinarily literal and personified by the titular purge, where everyone in America for one day can commit any crime they want to commit, but they focus mostly on violent murders in public.
It's true. You don't get to see any of the little crimes, like coasting through stop signs, killing a moose out of season. I would probably just do that. Man, I'm getting ahead of myself here. We're already talking about me purging, which I was going to save until the last third of the episode. So let's dial things back a bit.
Well, you know what? You've opened that door. Let's just walk through it for a minute. The premise of look, I don't think we're spoiling anything by saying that the whole attraction to these movies is that we're all waiting for the killing to begin. And it made me think, well, why are we essentializing crime to murder? I mean, I get it. It's a pretty intense crime, but I would probably do a lot of stuff like theft. I would purge, but it would be theft. Is that clear?
Yeah, I think that's a good one. It's honestly, well, it's brought up more in the third one. Because that's the whole time I was watching the first one, I was wondering why it was all about murder, but they bring it up. I think they got a lot of criticism over the past 4 years, and they really upped their game in number 3 and told us all about the subsystem of insurance companies who protect you from purge theft and purge murder, I guess, and purge rape and purge. There's like a whole separate category of purge insurance, which is one more way you can get fucked over.
By the man.
In this
case, it's not just the government, but those goddamn corporations.
But yeah, it's Purge Day here with Josh and Charles, and we're gonna just spend the whole day. We got a 24-hour episode here about purging, and let's get into it because I think this was your first. You hadn't seen these at all before, is that right?
Basically, in one 24-hour period. That included a lot of tomfoolery. I saw all 3 Purge movies.
Amazing.
Yeah. Let's just kick the door open with this observation that I'm pretty confident will not be controversial with you, Charles. no one has to see The Purge 1. It is just a serious, it is a stunningly boring movie. A movie that locates the entire night of The Purge to one bougie suburban mansion, and the entire movie filled me with the question, what about the rest of The Purge? That seems pretty interesting, doesn't it? And when that question is answered so wonderfully in The Purge 2, I don't think there's any reason. I really enjoyed watching these movies, and I thought the first one objectively offered so little and was so boring and so unengaging, featuring one of the most phoned-in performances by Ethan Hawke I've ever seen. There's no reason to see The Purge 1. You can live and die and purge very happily, picking up with 2 and moving forward into 3, which are 2 delightful movies that we'll get into in a minute. But I'm surprised at this. You're a Purge 1 defender.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw this movie with 2 friends of mine, and you know them. They came onto our show way back when it was on the radio, and they hated The Purge. And I don't love The Purge, but I enjoyed it. And given the choice between seeing The Purge 1 again and The Avengers, I would choose The Purge, which was this that came out, I think, in the same year, right?
2013.
They yelled at me a lot because I was like, The Purge was better than The Avengers. And they said, no, it's not. And I said, yeah, it is. And then they yelled at me more. And I see what you're saying. I think The Purge 2 and 3 take it to a different place. What I really like about The Purge 1 is that it is very focused on one place and one setting. And isn't that what you love? I thought you loved movies that were all about being contained within a place. That was like
absolutely, but
your jam.
The Purge 1 makes a few crucial errors.
All right, what are
they? From its somewhat weak direction. We need to really get a sense of if you're going to go for the bottle route, which I think is an incredibly powerful and effective device of storytelling when operated correctly. You need to establish that location so thoroughly so that we feel like it's a lived-in spot that we inhabit and thusly can, inherit the same tensions that arrive from space and time. Like, we need to really live in that location to make it impactful. And we barely get this house they live in is such a generic McMansion in the suburbs. It's given such short shrift in us understanding its dimensions, where things begin, where things end, what room is adjacent to what room. The whole movie is paced with this curious sort of pell-mell forward momentum that sort of like things sort of keep happening, and there is no sense of unifying tension. And for a movie that should have been incredibly tense and frightening, the whole thing felt pretty languid and weak. Like, it just wasn't frightening. The villain is a huge miscalculation, and
yeah,
I don't know. They go for like Patrick Bateman meets the Joker in their main bad guy, and he's just so generic, so unmemorable. They try to make his language very flowery, and it just comes out irritating and nonsensically like posh in a way that doesn't really work. It's a weak movie, Charles. Every major political, observation in the first film is so fucking barn-sized. Like, there's such a lack of subtlety in the movie that even what should have been a really psychologically affecting drama about a family pushed to their limits, trying to negotiate their space between profiting off of the purge and participating in it. There was ground for some good examination there, but we never really get there, and no one's trying that hard in the cast, and it just doesn't really take us to a place of revelation. And I thought the movie, I would watch a remake of The Purge, but The Purge as it exists, it feels like a demo tape. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I really like what you're saying about the space, because that's true. It is contained to one building, but the building does seem infinite because you don't really get a sense of its boundaries. So that could be a reason why it wasn't as suspenseful. But I think what I liked about the first one is that it exists as what the second and third ones do is they take this premise of this purge, which is obviously it's a satire. It's pointing out the problems with the structure of our society. But what the Purge 1 does very well is that it doesn't have dissenters. it says this is what they're doing now, and this is essentially allowing us to say, oh, this is what we're doing now. And, you know, you hit in the second and third one now, there's protesters, essentially. There's people pointing out the problems with the Purge, and it's like, of course there are problems with the Purge. It just makes it seem less realistic. The premise becomes less realistic when people actually disagree with it. So I like that the Purge just exists as this very small, you know, it's just like such an episode of the Purge. We don't get to see anything other than this one night, and we, as the audience, get to say, hey, this is pretty fucked up. And I like that. It's very contained, it's small, and while Ethan Hawke, it's maybe his worst performance of his acting career, it's still Ethan Hawke, and I love Ethan Hawke. And doesn't everybody love Ethan Hawke?
I was having a conversation with somebody about the perennial likability of Ethan Hawke. He's like a cool kid from the 90s who just never grew up.
Yeah.
And you're just always trying to impress him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though he looks slightly confused in literally every moment of his waking adult life, he's just a very charming guy.
He is. And he has a very bad haircut in this movie, and even that couldn't stop me from adoring him. I was rooting for him the whole way, and when he changed his mind and wanted to save this stranger, I was like, come on, man. Just purge him. That's what I said. I yelled it. Just purge him.
Well, hold on. I want to back up for a minute. Despite the fact that it's insanely cute to hear you yell, purge him, and imagining you yelling at Ethan Hawke on your fucking television.
I was watching it by myself. It's like, purge him.
Purge him, Ethan.
I'm just blowing out the levels here, too. But I probably blew out the levels the other day, so it's still all accurate.
Okay, so now here's what I want to say. I agree with you in the sense that politicizing and locating the Purge on a wider societal level in 2 and 3 takes away the sort of Shirley Jackson, The Lottery-esque.
Right, that's great. That's the example that we needed.
But at the same time, you know, when you make a movie like The Purge, you're not naive, Charles. A movie like The Purge demands that there's more Purge movies, okay? You're opening a door to a world. And I'm not going to... If you're asking me, would I want to live in the moral parable of The Purge 1 or continue living in the elaborate world that is like wildly expanded, made more realistic by its level of nuance and complication? Like, I think I appreciate The Purge 1 because it opens the door to this world. And as a moral parable, honestly, it's an interesting idea with a very stilted, uninteresting delivery that doesn't really take us anywhere that interesting. And I'm fine with them putting down some of the moral parable aspects of it to really sort of, you know, take that as a standard in this new world and really explore the different aspects of that as it happens year to year. And I was delighted by the continuation of the plot from 2 to 3. I was delighted by the different political forces, the different strands that are woven together and torn apart and put back into place. And, you know, it has... Are we moving to The Purge 2, Charles? Do you feel like this is the time?
Oh, we're just all over the place. Anywhere you want to go.
With your consent, I will continue to discuss what I feel like is the real gem of the trilogy, The Purge 2. And if The Purge 1 is a C- of good intentions, The Purge 2, I'm going to give it, on the personal Josh score that to date has never been implemented on the show, an A-. The Purge 2 felt to me like Escape from New York meets Saw. It has the anarchic, delightful qualities of John Carpenter and, James Wan, I want to say, who made Saw?
That's the man, yeah.
Yeah, it has like the cartoonish over-the-topness of a Warriors or Escape from New York in that it's dystopian, it's set in a city, it, to varying levels of success, extrapolates on themes of race and class and gender, and it all culminates in this larger, you know, broader conspiracy that it has all of the watermarks of movies I really enjoy. It has. And it has that very 21st century oversaturated new horror sort of shine to it, which I enjoy. And everything about it is exaggerated enough that I can like relax into a world that is decidedly fictional, but so lovingly realized to such detail that I was really just taken with it. And I let it take me where it was going, and I loved it, you know? The Carpenter connection I can't stress enough. This was in league with They Live or Escape from New York as far as, you know, a paranoid government conspiracy themed, very contemporary and extraordinarily cautionary tale in the guise of a horror sci-fi movie. And it was just rad, man. I fucking loved The Purge 2.
I'm gonna be boring for all of our listeners, but I absolutely agree. The second one is by far the best, and I would not even saying it's the best of the Purge movies, which isn't a great compliment for some people, but I would consider it to be a good movie. I think it has an emotional backbone that is so solid. It puts it up there with some of the best shitty Hollywood movies, and it's in that same vein because it's sort of dumb in a lot of ways, but like the end of The Purge 2, I'm not going to admit that I wept, but I came pretty close. That ending scene, man, is fucking intense. And I thought it was really, like, to go from a pretty typical horror thriller movie and then suddenly find yourself at the emotional reckoning. I mean, the whole movie, we're supposed to be really curious about why this guy's out on Purge night. And, it doesn't really work all that well because it's just, it's sort of whatever. He's going to go kill somebody probably. And then even after we learn that he's getting revenge on the drunk driver who killed his son, it's still a pretty typical paint by numbers storytelling, insert trauma here shit. But then suddenly you watch him drag this normal looking nice guy out of bed and just spit and sob at him. Fuck. A pretty unexpected, just emotional, heart-wrenching expression of grief.
To get back into this discussion of how, compared to the first film, The Purge 2 exists in this broader political spectrum, this broader societal lens, he kind of carries all of the weight of the morality in the first film, where a man with completely valid reasons to want to kill someone, in this case, the drunk driver who took away his son from him, that gets pushed to such an extreme. And that whole sequence, when we see this guy finally implement this plan that he's been working on for a year, and well within his rights of the world of The Purge, and us emotionally as viewers, I honestly didn't know where that was going to go. And I thought I was going to be Mr. Slick Rick who could, forecast the movie a little bit. But I was genuinely surprised.
Yeah, it definitely... It has so much, and I think that's what the first one really was lacking, was that it tried to do something very similar in that I guess it's the opposite, but essentially you put someone in a situation where feel like they're forced to kill somebody, and we really watch them struggle with coming to terms with that and actually acting it out. And I think that's why the first one isn't a success, is because, we really don't, they made it much harder for us to give a shit. As much as I'll defend it, The Purge 1 is full of really simple characters. You already talked about the villains, but we also have this just like stereotypical rich family. We have a nameless stranger. The plot is pretty much just used as a lesson in morals rather than an expression of how we respond to trauma. So it just becomes less full by the end. It doesn't explore as much as it just sort of tells us stuff. And I think that's why I liked the second one so much more than I thought, was that I was really just expecting, more of the same, more Purge 1, and they really did more. They got more interesting. They broadened the scope, sort of as we mentioned earlier, but they didn't really push it like they did in the third one. It was still a really nice balance between that close, insular survival horror from number 1, and then they just sort of put in some like spice of sort of the political side of things. And like the guy, the resistance guy, I forgot the guy from The Wire.
You're talking about Carmelo Jones, the leader of the resistance in The Purge 2?
Yeah, that guy. He's not a huge part of the story even. He just sort of comes in and goes. It's just like we can still focus on our main group of people, but we get that little extra depth, like there's something else going on, which is I think what we were missing from that first one. So we still get to like revel in all the Purge murders, and we get to question what these guys are up to. But it really does jump much deeper into a political realm of race and class.
I want to say on the topic of race, The Purge 1 does a pretty shitty job of addressing race. There's tokenizing a character and there's tokenizing a character, but when the person that they have to protect from these deranged bougie aristocrats trying to mow down a homeless person. He's the only black character in the movie, and he basically doesn't say anything. He's just like a token oppressed figure. Like, not only is he black, he's homeless, is like kind of like the takeaway from the Purge one. He doesn't, his role is so precarious in that you get a real white liberals trying to do the right thing vibe in the Purge one, when instead it just sort of comes off a bit goofy and a bit like, I think you should have thought about this some more. In the Purge 2 and 3, I was so impressed that they almost used that mistake as their marching orders to make the Purge 2 and 3 almost explicitly about race, which was really fascinating.
So you don't think the first one was also about race? Or you just don't think it was done very well?
It was about race in the sense that that character had a tag on him that said, "This is about racism," which basically marginalized the black character to being a fill-in-the-blanks oppressed figure that I don't think did much tribute to the issue of race with much nuance.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's more, it doesn't give a voice or a person to, it's still all about the white person. I see what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not about the issue. It's about, oh, here's how this white person perceives the issue and has to then deal with it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. The second and third ones definitely push things, and especially the third one. The third one is, I mean, I don't think it's called election year for, whatever, however you finish that sentence. It's timely. It's about what's happening exactly right now.
Can I just point out one thing from the Purge 3 before we start the full discussion of it?
Yeah.
Why do they vote for the president in May in the Purge world?
I don't know. I think it's because it's just the new world, like you were saying.
So the new founding fathers who swept into America and installed a overwhelmingly Christian message of morality about how we conduct ourselves introduced one night of the year where we can all murder people to unleash the beast inside all of us, and also changed our election month by 6 months?
Well, yeah. I mean, which would you rather be standing out in the line in May or in November?
Well, it depends on the May and it depends on the November. A nice brisk November day, that's lovely. I remember the day I voted for Barack Hussein Obama in 2008. It was a beautiful day.
Was it?
My memory of it is that it was quite nice out.
I voted for, who did I vote for that year?
Oh, God, what, Kucinich or something?
I think that's when I was still, like, really into the West Wing and voted for, what's his name?
Obama.
No.
In 2008?
Who's the guy who's the president in the West Wing? Bartlett.
You wrote in Josiah Bartlett?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't even know if you're joking right now.
I'm not.
That's sort of appalling.
Why? I liked it.
Well, I mean, there's perennial write-ins like School Sucks and Bart Simpson, but you went for fucking all right. I mean, I bet he actually gets a pretty good tally for a fictional character.
Yeah, he probably hits at least 1%. I voted for Harpo Marx the first time. Are we allowed to say this? You're allowed to, right? They don't come in.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident this is legal. Yeah.
Yeah, I did Harpo Marx.
Uh-huh.
I've done Mr. Bartlett because I don't remember his name. Josiah.
It's Josiah.
That's a funny name. And George W. Bush.
So you fancy yourself a bit of a rogue, huh? You sort of get in there and have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Is that the
Yeah,
okay.
I get behind that little booth and I just take all my clothes off and I just write it. Go for it.
Uh-huh. Anything could happen in that little booth.
Yeah. Well, I think what happened was when I was a child, my mother,
oh boy,
when I was very little, my mother took me and she said, "Hey, Charles, do you want to go voting?" But because I was an idiot child and didn't understand what voting was, I thought she said boating. So the whole day we were out and we did errands, and then we went to the voting place and we went in this stupid place and I was like, all right, fine, I guess we're doing some errands before we go on the boat. And then we went home. And I was like, what the fuck? Why didn't we go boating today? And then it was a thing. And ever since then, I really have been wary of our government.
That's definitely enough to jade any young voter. I'm just amazed your parents didn't drown you before you got to this point in your life.
Yeah, me too, actually. Yeah, it's my birthday. It was my birthday the other day.
Do we have to keep going on about your fucking birthday, Charles? I sent you some funny stuff.
You did. That was really nice.
Oh, let's do a little Charles birthday wrap-up here on The Real Deal with Josh and Charles before our meandering review of the 3 Purge movies continues at its breakneck thrilling pace. But I tried to send Charles some of my favorite birthday scenes from movies.
And you did.
Yeah, well, I kicked things off with Man Bites Dog, the unforgettable and chilling and hilarious Belgian film about a serial killer. He's gifted a shoulder holster for his birthday and, goes ahead and uses it right there at the table, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Also, I thought the real cherry on the birthday sundae is that when I was a child, I used to watch The Three Amigos with an alarming persistence. Like, I've really seen that movie probably 20-something times. Like, I've seen The Three Amigos almost a countless number of times. And
yeah, you can't count much higher than 20.
Well, personally, no. I have a shard of metal lodged in the back of my cranium.
Oh, shit.
And it does prevent me from a lot of basic arithmetic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that.
I got it during the war.
Good. At least you got something.
Yeah, I slipped while playing Call of Duty, and a fork got stuck in the back of my skull. And that's just the life I lead.
Okay, I forgot what we were talking about.
The joke I sent you, the birthday scene when El Guapo has his birthday party in The Three Amigos. There's a joke in that movie that's so funny, it took me I didn't realize how funny that joke was until yesterday, Charles.
Yeah.
But there's a really big speech where his main henchman talks about how him and the boys threw in for this present for El Guapo, and they're ladling praise on him, and it's very sweet. And he opens up the present, and this is of course set in New Mexico or something, or
yeah.
Texas, or and he opens up the present, and it's a sweater, and he goes, "It's a sweater. It's a sweater," and everyone's just applauding, and he looks really pleased, and that is such a good joke, right? He's this leader of this nightmare outlaw gang, and they chipped in to buy him a sweater, and he's legitimately moved by that gesture. And that is so funny.
It hits on multiple levels.
It really does. And I'm just giving it, this is really the way to experience this joke, is me explaining it to you on a podcast. But holy shit, that is such a funny joke. And I really didn't appreciate it until your birthday. So in a way, your birthday was a present to me and now our listeners.
That's what I try to think about my birthday, is that it's really more of a gift for everybody else.
Well, I think any day where we get to celebrate the unimaginable, there's no other Charles could fill the Charles hole that you fill.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, Prince Charles, that was a shot right across the bow, buddy.
Ooh.
Don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me.
Yeah. So it was a good day. I celebrated with Patrick Stewart, Harrison Ford. We all got together like we've been doing for the past 30 years. And it was wonderful.
May I note that your birthday buddies have both appeared in films we've reviewed here on The Real Deal with Josh and Charles.
We did? Yeah, Star Wars.
Star Wars and Green Room.
Green Room. 2 great movies with my friend. I tell them that every time I see them, I'm like, you guys do such good work. They really do good work. I'm just waiting.
Cowboys and Aliens is a low point in Harrison Ford's career that is truly Mariana Trench level.
Is it? I've
awful.
Never seen it.
It's a terrible movie. Cowboys and Aliens, starring Daniel Craig, is a fucking awful movie.
You know, maybe I saw it and I don't even remember it because now that you mentioned Daniel Craig, I do remember him being handcuffed to something. Is that in that movie?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've seen it.
It's a movie that made me nostalgic for Wild Wild West.
Ooh. Wow.
And I don't say that lightly.
No, you can't really say that lightly. It's hard.
Okay. Getting back on track, The Purge 2 Anarchy, as a standalone film, I'm going to agree with you, Charles. I would recommend this to people regardless of any, Purge canon. Just see The Purge Anarchy. It is an excellent movie.
Excellent. And you know what? The Purge, this guy, he's done all three, which is nice. It's rare that one director person writes and directs the entire series so far, which is cool. This dude, he knows, even in the first one, yeah, I think not so much in the first one, but even there a little bit. This guy knows masks, and this guy knows random scenes of just insane batshit violence. And not like over the top violence, just like really weird, tiny moments of violence. And he does it so well, especially in 2 and 3. There's just like these little moments where, like, a flaming bus goes by, that one's fine. But it's just like a lady setting someone or sitting next to a burning corpse singing. Like, this guy's got some little moments of genius in his otherwise pretty straightforward movie about race and violence in America.
Well, to draw on the Saw connection for a minute, if Saw was a movie series that was made effective by one nightmarish torture monster and his unique visions of sadism and pain, what makes The Purge 2 and 3 so crazy is that when we're running through downtown LA and DC respectively, we see everybody's weird little fantasy playing out. So you're traipsing through this like universe of everyone's unique, soul-bearing nightmare torture, and that is really done so effectively. Like, all those little moments really stand out to you, and there's a whole story behind each one of them. And the thing is, the movie, what so impresses me about this writer-director, Joe Marcano, I want to say. I'm probably fucking that up.
I think it's James DeMonico.
James DeMonico, that motherfucker. What he's so good at in 2 and 3 is everything that didn't work about 1. 2 and 3 feel so lived in and so well developed and are so full of that detail that you're praising. It's really astounding. Like, the trajectory from 1 to 2 is massive. And what I liked about 3, Charles, is that he really swings for the fucking fences, and it's such a ridiculous movie in the most delightful way. Like, we're given this situation, like, the very first scene in the movie, it starts out with, like, this, nightmare masked monster killer playing T-Rex and Parliament Funkadelic as he like tortures a family, and he's like, well, it's time for you to choose who's gonna live, Grandma. And it's like so over the top. And then it goes 18 years later, and I was like, okay, I fucking love this. I love this movie. Cold open with a scene of an entire family being mutilated into 18 years later when the survivor of that Purge nightmare goes on to run for president on an anti-purge campaign. We cut to the shadowy cabal of elderly white men who are upset by this, and we cut to the guy at the head of the table who growls, "Is the cunt that close?" And I was like, this is delightful. This is a delightful movie.
This movie used vulgarity so well, especially coming from the characters who used it. Like, the word cocksucker has not been employed so perfectly since Deadwood, and maybe this was even better. But it's that you're describing that scene perfectly. The opening 10 minutes of the movie are fucking awesome. I didn't see really the opening scene coming, and then for it to push into this beautiful short monologue from an old white guy just yelling about how he doesn't want this woman to put an end to his plans of greed and corporate menace. It was just like perfectly set the tone. I was into it. And it never really moved from that tone. Like, the main bad guy was this fucking bruiser with Nazi tattoos all over his face.
I loved that. That detail of the private militia hired by the government to carry out the assassination of the anti-purge candidate being this, like, horrifying gang of, like, super soldier Nazis was such a sick... Man, we're in this new golden era of schlocky genre films that used to be basically just John Carpenter's realm to like constantly slam dunk over the heads of his competitors in. And again, Purge 2 and 3 are not in the same rarefied air as Carpenter's greatest, but certainly that if you like the tone of a They Live, if you like the tone of an Escape from New York, this is the Purge 3 was the Escape from LA of the Purge series so far. It's the most over the top, and in a way, its most violent moments are lovable because it's so endearingly excessive.
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly put it right up there. I think what's fun is that we grew up watching Carpenter movies from, they had already come out and it was a different time, and I saw them as a kid, watching them, having them already been out for a while. It's really fun coming into it with that, like seeing a brand new movie with, the teens. Are we allowed to call it the teens yet? That's something I've noticed. We haven't started calling things the teens. Are we gonna do that yet, or do I have to keep saying 2016, 2015?
Both on this podcast, and by virtue of that designation, all of our culture, I think we're making that step right now, Charles.
Let's fucking do it. Am I gonna fucking confuse people by saying the teens and then like, oh, the 19 teens? Are people gonna think that when I'm talking about the Purge and I say the teens, like, did they think there was a Purge that came out in 1920? Oh shit, that's not the teens. Fuck.
Well, actually, it's funny you mention that because the Purge series is based on a popular vaudevillian rondelay that was popularized in the early 20s. But I think enough time has passed that you can now reclaim teens.
I think so. But anyway, where was I going? Oh yeah, it's exciting to be like a part of this thing that's super goofy, super crazy, and from a standpoint coming from the noughties where everything was so fucking serious and so fucking heavy, like Jesus Christ, Nolan just fucking sucked the life out of everything fun. It's so nice to be coming off of that with movies like Green Room, like It Follows, whatever the fuck that was, and You're Next, like all these really fun movies that emulate things from the 80s but have like a really nice contemporary feel to them. So The Purge 3, while not as, emotionally powerful as the second one, which I'll say that it was a powerful movie, it's fun, it's violent, it's crazy, and it really, I loved it the whole time. The girls coming back in their crazy cars with their fucking crazy masks, that was fucking awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, it's a real fuck yeah kind of movie series at this point. And they really set up number 4 to be like even crazier. And I'm so excited for The Purge 4. I don't think I've been this excited about a film series in my life, in the sense that I don't count Star Wars as a part of that because like it's such an overarching staple of the culture. It would be asinine for me to claim that it's like my cultural. It's like The Purge is like kind of rolling out, in the heart of my 20s. All right. So if there was ever a time to get overwhelmingly excited about a film series, this is that time, and these are those movies.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure if people are ready for it. Like, I think they're not getting very good reviews. I think people are sort of dismissing them, but I totally agree with you. I think these things are fucking awesome. They're super fun. They're, making grand statements about a very complicated issue, and, it's not going to be the most in-depth look at race tension, power structures, and all that, but it's trying to do something with it, which is also a nice little bonus. And I'm enjoying the fuck out of them. And while the first one, I will still say that it's good. It was the world builder. It was the small focus, and then like, oh, let's expand from that, and let's now expand further. And it's going to be great that The Purge 4 is going to be all about the people who lost it's going to be like a Civil War. It'll be the Civil War movie did you see the Captain America Civil War? Was that any good?
I did not see it, no. But it's funny you use that phrase because my friend who I saw the film with turned to me and went, dude, The Purge Civil War.
Exactly.
And I was like, yeah.
It's going to be better. It's going to be better than Captain America Civil War, which I didn't see.
Well, let me say this. I wish the films had gone in a different sequence because in a way, it would be really cool to have like The Purge 2 establishes this very broad worldview. And then a movie like The Purge 1 would like tighten the focus before reemerging and back into that world. Like I want endless Purge stories. I want a film series, like a TV series called Purge Stories. Okay?
Yeah.
So get out there, Purge people. It reminded me tonally in its ability to like weave in all these micro episodes of the fantastic 2000 AD comic book series Judge Dredd, which similarly uses a very aesthetified world that sort of operates more as like a stage than this sort of like grimly adhered to political environment like a Game of Thrones. It's more of like, it's very modular. You can switch things in and out and use that general space somewhat liberally. And I thought The Purge 2 and 3 opened up a lot of possibilities in that realm. Because at this point, I think we get the Purge world. Like we understand its rules. And I'm willing to like go even deeper into more specific Purge events because that's how interested I am in how it plays out in like rural America. Okay? How's it happen there?
Yeah.
Miami. Okay?
Oh.
I want to go to the woods of Maine. I want to go to the plains of Wyoming. I want to go to fucking Delaware. I want to see the Purge happening in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. I mean, you can come to the woods of Maine anytime, by the way. I've invited you many times.
I know.
You haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
But if anyone's listening that has a shitload of money and connections and you want to, give us some of that, we could make essentially the Twilight Zone meets the Purge. I love that idea where it's just like every episode is just a little Purge story. Come on. If you listen to this and you make things like that, just make it. Make Josh happy.
Why would you deny me this? Because I think I deserve it.
I mean, we can't do it. We're not talented. We're not rich.
No. God, no.
But we want something.
I think anyone who's listened to 47 minutes of this podcast can definitively attest to our lack of talent. But, people throw the word entitled around in a negative way a lot. But let me be very clear about reclaiming this word. I am entitled to what I want, and you will give it to me. Okay?
The Purge 3, you reminded me of this when you were talking about Maine and Delaware. I liked that they had Purge tourism. Like, that was a nice, like, it came up once and that was it. But it's such a, like, that's the beauty of this Monaco man, of the Monaco man, where he just, like, the Purge is basically, did you ever think this, or was I just creepy when I was in, like, 5th and 6th grade? Like, oh, I wish there was like a list of 2 people that I could kill and get away with it. Did you ever think that way?
I would be lying if that sort of brutal childhood sense of vengeance did not affect me.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's what I thought. Like, oh, I wish I could just kill one person because I hate them that much and it would be okay. And then I realized why murder is illegal, because if everyone did that, then it would be bad. But the Purge movies are basically that 5th grade mindset of like, what if, oh, that would be cool. What if we just let people kill each other one night? And I think he had this idea, and then as a good storyteller and a smart writer, it made him consider that option and wrote some really interesting stories about that. And so it's like, at the same time, I talked about it a little bit earlier, it's like you had this really dumb storytelling idea, and yet it catapulted into this realm of fun, exciting, and actually sort of powerful storytelling. It's really cool. Fun shit, James.
Yeah, James. And hey, James, anytime you want to come over and hang out with us boys, fucking get a beer, smoke some weed out or whatever, like, we're down.
Yeah, actually, I talked
to listening,
Patrick and Harrison, and we could all get together, the 5 of us.
Yes. Put in a good word with 2 popular actors who I think we've well established, beyond any doubt, are friends of yours because you share a birthday. Patrick Stewart of the X-Men films and Harrison Ford of the Fugitive fame. And get them to get the guy who made The Purge to come hang out with us.
I was reading an article or listening to somebody talk about things, and apparently the first American movie that was released in China was The Fugitive, and they loved it.
Honestly, that's a good start.
Yeah. You know what the poster of The Fugitive said? I forget. I thought it was really funny. It's like...
I believe the tagline is, "In space, no one can hear you scream."
No, that's not it. It's... Hold on. I'm bringing it up.
"I didn't kill my wife.
No,
I don't care."
They're like super into this one-armed man thing. It's like they've just...
The one-armed man killed my wife.
Here we go. Here's an image. Okay, so a murdered wife, a one-armed man, an obsessed detective. the chase begins. You know who's not mentioned at all in that is Harrison Ford.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked up, huh?
He's not even a part of the equation. What is that? I don't like that.
I'm really happy that we're using time on the show to criticize the marketing of The Fugitive in China.
Oh, maybe. Oh, you know what it is? It says in big letters. It says The Fugitive, and then it says a murdered wife, a one-armed man, an obsessed detective. So I guess all four of those things are part of the chase. The wife isn't a part of the chase. She's dead.
No, we found her.
What? Who?
Well, I mean, I'm saying, there's no chase.
No, I get you. I'm just still flabbergasted by this chase.
No, you're right. And if I could go back in time and do two things, one, of course, being kill Hitler.
Of course.
The second would be go to that meeting. What company made The Fugitive?
MGM.
MGM. I'm gonna walk in to the Metro Goldwyn Mayer.
I don't think that's
Metro,
right. I'm gonna have to look it up.
MGM, Metro Goldwyn. I'm going to go into this office and say, hey, fuckwits, okay, we know where the wife is. She's dead.
Hold on. I don't want to yell at MGM if they didn't actually do it. I'm going to Wikipedia this. Hold on.
When we brought up Harrison Ford, I thought about The Witness, another great Harrison Ford
it's just
film,
called
and I was like, man.
It's just called Witness. Sorry, MGM.
How about The Purge?
Warner Brothers.
Purge in Amish country.
It's Warner Brothers.
The Purge in Amish country, huh?
Oh, yes. That's great. And they could, incorporate that silo. That was a really fun part of that movie. Silo.
Oh, and the guy drowns in corn?
Yeah, corn. That would be I think that's probably how they do it out there.
A lot of corn-related murder.
They lure you into silos with Pokemon lures, and then they just open the gates.
The gates of hell.
I'm really liking that people are using Pokemon lures to then stick people up and mug them and take their money.
Yeah, isn't that the most beautiful expression of, like, a free market at its finest?
It is. I'm loving Pokemon Go. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and, is it helping distract me from the waking nightmare of American life? Maybe, but it's nice.
See, to go back to that statement you made like 45 minutes ago, I've always been of the opinion that race war and all those things that you mentioned that are bad, and you were saying Pokemon Go is a distraction from that, but I've always been of the opinion that all that stuff's the distraction from what the other bad stuff's happening that we don't even know about. You know?
I'm happy that this is the episode where we tackle the impending race war and we discover your weird conspiracy theories about what's really going on.
Like they keeping us fighting each other while they're ruling the world.
Well, I think that argument goes to a certain point, but I think that point ends where regardless of whether that's true or not, I think we can all recognize that there are very specific elites who are doing very specific things that can be affected in our lifetimes. And as much as I would love to one day tear down the veil and reveal the New World Order or some group thereof.
The Founding Fathers. Founding Fathers. What does the A stand for?
The New Founding Fathers of America.
Oh.
They're taking the O out because it seems extraneous. NFOA? Though NFOA is kind of cool. NFOA.
Yeah. I thought it was the association or something.
But USA, what's missing? Of.
Gotcha. I get it now.
Yeah. There's a precedent. There's a precedent historically.
I like there's a lot of great shit. I like the ending scene was really awesome. That creepy ass church man who,
the deacon.
Yeah, whatever he was, priest.
When he almost kisses the pastor, oh my God, that was amazing.
See, that's what brings these movies to the next level, is just that his attention to detail to be like, what would make this scene a little bit more fucked up, and not super fucked up where people just can't buy it anymore, but like just on that, like it's just crossing that border, just entering into the uncanny valley where we're like, this is a little fucked up. Like that shaking pig head. I like that. It really got me going.
That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I like any director who seems legitimately so furious at the state of our country and so upset at the snide contemptuous and simultaneously hypocritical stances of, conservative America, makes a movie that in no uncertain terms paints a picture of how vile our class system is, how vile racism is, how vile gender inequality is, because that was kind of incredible. They really wove in a lot of female characters in the third movie, in the second as well. But I don't know, just across the board, James, never stop. I love these movies. They fill me with a populist rage that I really enjoy, and it's so rare to experience a piece of relatively mainstream American culture whose politics are unambiguously something that I totally agree with. And they deliver that with this sort of sick, twisted edge that makes it a cultish film. So well done.
Yeah, and I've sort of in the past yelled a little bit about all the bullshit feminist criticism that's going on right now, especially of mainstream movies. But it's great that The Purge has really just presented us with believable female characters, and all types. We have the female president. We have the totally crazy sociopathic women in their Christmas cars. We have the criminal turned medic saint who's still got a violent past. It's we have a huge assortment of roles, stories, and they're all. I mean, they're not just slapped in there. They all feel really important. They feel like they were created with some sort of thought. And it's we don't have male and female characters. The Purge just gives us characters, which is strangely elusive in Hollywood in the teens.
Short of the one of the main bad guys calling her a cunt early in the film, there's no mention of her as a female presidential candidate, which I think is another. Yeah, that's really well done, and it's really it's getting us past that bullshit and not having to question that. And also, but as much as you say that, in 2 they point out this single mother and her daughter. They're singled out by this man who wants to rape her.
Yeah,
and that's that's as much a part of the Purge for. A lower income woman living in an unsafe place. There's a whole other element to the Purge for her, and they very unflinchingly show that.
Right.
And it's a thoughtful, rich world that takes on every strata of society and looks it in the eye. And fucking just go see all the Purge movies.
Yeah.
Grit your teeth through 1. I would rank them like this: Purge 1, C-, Purge 2, A-, Purge 3, B+.
I would agree. Sure. The first one isn't great, but people shit on it so much. I think it's a good starting point, and I don't. Do you need to see it? I don't think so, but I think you'd be wrong not to, honestly. I think it would be a disservice. Auteur theory suggests that when a person makes something and then they make more things, it is still the whole body of work is what's really important, and you can't really you should really be interacting with all of it. So no, you should all see all 3, Josh. See the growth.
You know what, Charles? I'm going to finish off the podcast recorded in your birthday week by begrudgingly submitting to your stupid suggestion that they see all 3 movies.
Thanks.
And say, yes, live the whole beast, unleash your inner beast and go see all the Purge movies, and subscribe to us on iTunes, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and most importantly, stay fucking tuned, because our next episode, oh boy, just wait till you find out what it is.
Wait, what?
I'm saying I'm trying to build suspense for the next episode.
Oh, next episode. Gotcha. Okay, yeah, it's going to be a doozy.
Oh boy, we've got something in the chamber that's going to, I think, surprise a lot of you.
Yeah, it begins with the letter B.
Does it?